And now, Warming Center Wednesdays with the Flathead Warming Center and KGEZ's John Hendricks, where we tackle hard conversations around the complex causes of homelessness and discuss how we as a community can collaborate to address them.
And today we're really going to get into some facts and figures for you and try to get a better understanding of what's happening in the homeless world here. Joining us this morning or this afternoon is Jamie Goguen. Jamie, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
You can have us with us. Tell us your role in all of this.
Well, years ago, my husband and I were asked to contribute to the donation pile that would erect the Warming Center. Tanya Horn has worked diligently to create something to work towards the solution. My husband, Michael, is a world-class investor, and he invested his hard-earned after-tax dollars to this because he recognizes the investment in the community that needs to be made. And he and fellow community members made the significant donations to get this off the ground for the benefit of us all.
Well, the Warming Center is certainly under attack right now, which should bother you a lot. Yeah,
it's very unfortunate that the NIMBYism is so loud. I just wish that people could see the effort and the work and have the foresight to understand where the groundwork is being laid to help people get, not just stay alive, but really to be alive to fight another day and then eventually to thrive. The system is broken. There are a lot of parts that need to be added to fulfill the entire solution. And the Warming Center is simply one aspect of that solution. And taking it away does no good.
I can't imagine how vulnerable one would feel with no place to stay at night, no way to get around, no money for food. You got to feel like the whole world is after you.
I imagine that would be the case. So many people before 2020, before the pandemic, it wasn't as talked about quite as much, but we did notice a significant rise in the homeless population when pricing for housing went up so significantly and so quickly that everyday Americans who felt the same way about, homelessness, which was, it's other people's problems, and then they found themselves descending into this unfortunate circumstance and traumatic life as a homeless person. So yeah, people need care. They need help from community members that have the strength to lift them up. This is an interdependent scenario.
I don't know if most people realize how close they are to being homeless. All it takes is missing a few mortgage payments, missing a rent payment, and not able to find the funds to make that up again. You could be homeless. Most of us in this country could be homeless in a matter of months.
That's right, or one bad car accident or one terrible medical diagnosis. It really is, we are so vulnerable, so many of us are.
So I want to talk a bit about, get some statistics and some really good understanding here. So Housing Forward, All Neighbors Coalition, talk with me about that.
Yes. Thank you, John, for having me. I'm on the board of Housing Forward in Dallas, Texas, leaving this year the treasurer of finance and audit. And what we did in Dallas, in one of the very few cities in America that year over year has seen reductions in homelessness, is we established the All Neighbors Coalition, which said all the organizations come together and we now work together. Because what they were doing before and what they do in many cities is they compete against each other for funding. So they're all applying for the same grants from HUD. They're all applying for the same grants from the state or the county or the city. So no one's working together to implement this funding. So you may have an organization that works on veteran funding or for veteran homelessness or LGBT youth or women who are victims of domestic violence. But in Dallas, we pulled all this together under one organization called Housing Forward, and we divvy out the funds. So our year-over-year results are something like 19 to 24%. But you look at, we've rehoused over 10,000 people. And the solution to that was long-term housing. And that is the only solution that has worked and has been a proven fact over and over again. Dallas, Indianapolis, and Houston are really the only 3 major cities in America that have done it and seen proven results. And by doing that, more money started to flow in because people said, wow, our money's going to good use if we have private donations coming in. I want to contribute to that, because why send your money to a city or a county or a territory that is not having proven results in the homeless sector? Because your money will go to waste, and you don't want to do that.
So how do you, I guess, first of all, let's define long-term housing.
Sure. Well, what we did is we went out and engaged landlords. We did 2 things. We engaged landlords and gave landlords incentives of $1,000. And we found landlords. And we had caseworkers going out, and we had workers going out, and volunteers saying, can we find affordable housing? And then when we find affordable housing, we take the person off the street, help them get in, and then we built what's called a flex fund. Well, a flex fund, so grants, for example, are limited in how much you can spend. They're restricted in how much you can spend on admin, or very restricted on how the funding goes.
Yeah.
So our flex fund allows us to buy the person work boots to get back on their feet, perhaps repair their car, perhaps pay off an old eviction, or even a small medical bill. So we have the flexibility to help build this person's credit back. We help them get furniture. We help them, teach them how to cook, how to clean, find transportation, find a grocery store, and then get them on the path to getting a job.
My gosh, you're talking about what would be a gargantuan task for any individual to find furniture, pay off an old eviction, get your credit back up. My gosh, people spend years trying to do that.
They do. But it's not really that hard if you have a team of organizations working together to do that.
Kind of talk with us a little bit about the scope of homelessness from your perspective.
Well, in Dallas, like any major city, Los Angeles, Seattle, it was large. I participated in all the point-in-time counts. I've crawled under bridges and talked to people. Some people I spoke to were homeless for 26 years.
26 years?
Living under bridges. Many of them veterans. In larger cities, it skews more towards racial inequities. So 65% of the people homeless nationally are African-American males. And that's for a number of reasons, but can also be from a broken criminal justice system as well.
And, that was something I discovered working in Denver radio. I would go out with the Kalispell, or not the Kalispell, but the Denver Police Department and the Salvation Army. We would go out on a night that was sub-zero and hand out blankets to people who were sleeping underneath overpasses and in culverts and in boxes. And many of them would refuse it because they didn't want to be found. They apparently had some legal issues, whether it's garnishments or court orders, or maybe they were running from the law. And so they didn't want anybody to know they were there.
That is true too. And it's also a fundamental loss of trust in fellow humans, that they can't accept the help that you're offering them, because they understand too that the help that like a blanket can provide isn't a solution for them in a real way. People have been offered homes and they can't believe it in Dallas. Like they get to move into a home and it's almost like they can't accept it. But what I'd really like to illustrate and highlight is if we have a housing first approach where federal dollars are available to pay the landlord, so the landlord gets paid, and we have let's say 1 year where your rent is getting paid, and you have these wraparound services that are helping you get the boots that you can eventually get the laces to strap, okay? Because a lot of these people don't even have boots to strap, literally. And then teach them basic life skills. The beautiful thing from the statistics that I've heard from Housing Forward in Dallas is that there's a 90% success rate that after 1 year, I've been homeless for 8 months. I go into this home all of a sudden, literally encampment to apartment, and then I have a year's worth of services that help me straighten my life out. Now, I may have gone into that home fully addicted. Maybe I'm still on drugs right now, and I get to be in that home. The fact that I am in a home, and I'm safe, and I have a door that locks, and a toilet that flushes, and water that runs for me when I need it to, gives a basic level of dignity and a sense of trust. And that is the seed, that is the inception for that person's healing. And now all the wraparound services that come around with that, after a year, they can pay their own rent because they've had a job. And now they can figure it out. And after 2 years, they have been checked up on, and 90% of them are no longer homeless. And I just want to illustrate what that does for not just that person, what does that do to the community? It makes it a safer community. It makes it a more beautiful community. I can let my kids go to Woodland Park and not have to worry about the fact that they're too close to the trees, for instance. But more than that even, now we have a human with potential that is actually being productive, paying taxes, actually working at a job, starting to build community. And now we potentially have these thousands of people. In the valley here, I believe it's about 400 to 500 people that are perceived to be homeless. I think we know of 300 for sure. But imagine if we had all 500 of those people being productive citizens, or let's even just take half of that. They're being productive citizens. I mean, when we think about how much this country has created over time, and the patents and the inventions and the ideas, we get extra people that are now productive, that can work towards those types of accomplishments because they have a foundation, a basic foundation. So we're working, it's really an investment in people, and an investment in people will always pay off.
Let's see what we can do here locally after this break.
Whitefish Marine has a great selection of rental boats for you to choose from. You too can surf the fish and explore Whitefish Lake on a 12 or 15 passenger pontoon boat. Perfect for casual boating, or try out our deck or surf boats for water sports fun. Whitefish Marine's boats are in tip-top shape. While planning your summer vacation, make your reservation early and then enjoy your family time on the fish. Call Whitefish Marine today at 862-8594. Whitefish Marine, your boating headquarters at the intersection of Highway 93 and Highway 40. Just a call away at 860-8594 to enjoy your fun-filled time on Whitefish Lake.
Let's get thrifty. Flathead Industries. Visit their thrift stores in Whitefish, Columbia Falls, and Kalispell. Find what was, what is, and what deserves to be in style. Clothing, furniture with and without the fur, electronics, decor, and the occasional boombox. And know when you shop or donate, you're creating opportunities for people with disabilities. So get thrifty. Shop, donate, support at Flathead Industries.
Is that your grandma's coat?
And now, back to Warming Center Wednesdays with the Flathead Warming Center and KGEZ's John Hendricks.
And today we're really getting into the nuts and bolts of all of this. Jamie Goguen is with us, and we have Brent Rogers too. So, Jamie, how do we narrow this down to Kalispell, Montana, and the Flathead Valley?
Well, first of all, I feel very fortunate to have met Brent because he lends an incredible amount of wisdom and experience in dealing with this problem. We get to start from absolute scratch. We get to convince people that they want to do real hard work. We can do hard things, rah-rah cheerleading crowd. I contacted Mandy Chapman, who founded the Clutch Consulting Group that worked with Houston and Dallas to get them off the ground. She is from Eastern Montana, and I thought that was real cool. She's enthusiastic. I would like to hire her in a personal capacity to work with our local nonprofits. I would like to work with local government. I would like to work with private philanthropy and the public to get an initiative going, whether it's a workshop, which, by the way, I'm planning on a workshop in September and October. I'd like to get key members of our community together so that we can discuss specifically what are the exact problems. How many people do we actually have? What software are we going to use to execute and to collect data? And then what resources do we have? What grants are available? The one thing that I see is that's really preventing a real moving forward energy is this will cost money initially just to get the people to be able to do the work. Because right now, Community Action Partnership, Northwest Montana Mental Health Center, they're so underfunded that they don't even have the staff to be able to do the work that needs to be done to collect the information so that we can move forward. And so right now, I've got a list of people in our community, in our valley, that I'm going to invite to get together with Mandy at Clutch Consulting and discuss all of these issues. The problems we have, what resources do we have, and then what do we still need, and then create an action plan and then execute said plan. This takes time, unfortunately, and I feel really grateful that we have an extra 60 days, but I'd really like to talk to the people that are opposing the warming center and help them understand that if you can just take the longer view and understand that it can only get better if we work hard. And working hard is a uniquely American value. Let's all embrace that. And it's really, truly for the better of everyone. So I will host these workshops myself, and I will invite the right people. And I'm looking for anyone else that can make decisions, that is willing to do the work and get their hands dirty. And I know we're going to come up with solutions. It's literally just a matter of time.
You know, what I'm getting from your words here, and I correct me if I'm wrong, but it appears to me that we have been focused on the actions rather than the strategy. We don't have an overall strategy for dealing with homelessness. We don't even understand what it is. Can you give us a little bit of an understanding of what we're facing here?
Well, I think exactly what Jamie said, sharing data with each other, getting the data in, getting the wraparound services, mental health services, warming shelters, CAP, Northwest Montana, and then getting the right funding in here. And it's, unfortunately, this work is extremely hard, extremely difficult, and it's not sexy work, and it doesn't happen overnight. And if I look 2 years down the road, I share the same vision for her as we have as she does, we have a massive reduction in homelessness. There's no need to have a warming center maybe in 5 years because we have all of our neighbors housed, or it's on a very minimal level. And so the end goal for all of us should be that these services are going to be temporary and not needed forever because we're so smart and we become so good at rehousing our unhoused neighbors.
Further, I would like to say that, for the worry that, if we create these services, more homeless people will come. I laugh at that because I think if you have a system, and I am a systems girl, I love systems. If you have a system with mechanisms in place and people who know what to do, fine, there's homeless people. Nobody wants to have homeless people shift up here, and I'm obviously not a proponent of that. However, if people do become homeless or they are here and they are homeless and we have a system for them to go through and pop out the other end as a productive human, in other words, they get services and then they do not stay homeless, they go on to be productive, doesn't that sound like a solution, like a meaningful?
So how do we get this started, Jamie?
Well, we get this started by having conversations, and this is a great way. This is where we're starting. We're having a conversation. I'm going to host a workshop. I've already got it in the works. I've already got my list of people. Expect some phone calls, those of you that are listening, and just plan to roll up your sleeves and let's get to work. Let's at least identify the issues. Let's identify a possible strategy. Let's roll up our sleeves and get to work.
Been suggested from last night's council meeting that we put together some mediation, and it would be mediated, I guess, by Mark Flateau, who is our former Kalispell School Superintendent and a very brilliant man and somebody who really does know how to bring people together. He's demonstrated that. Do you see that as a place to start?
I love that idea, and I'm open to more ideas. I do not have the solutions, and I like to joke that I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just, taking a step forward and figuring it out as I go. This is not something I ever thought, this isn't the kind of work I thought I would be doing. I always wanted to do something meaningful. I don't have to know all the answers. I think there are so many smart people in this valley that we can come up with the answers together. It's more a matter of desire, the political will to do the right thing and to get your hands dirty, and really just the excitement of building something. There's a book called Built to Last. If we all have that type of mentality, we're going to build something that's going to stand the test of time. And it's ultimately here to help people move through a system so that they can come out better on the other end. And the thing is the dollars are on the table already. This isn't like we have to pass new legislation. We're asking Congress to do some kind of thing. This is money that is on the table right now, waiting for us to take it and implement it.
How do we get it?
Grants. It's
Just
grant
applying
writing.
grant writing.
It's grant writing. It's organizing philanthropic endeavors to reach out to the public. But I think that it's the combination of both, as well as people in the right positions in these organizations that understand what we're building. And I think that's the importance of these workshops. It's not just to identify the problems and then a strategy. It's what kind of talent do we need and where do we need them? And then looking for that talent and putting them into those seats.
Brent, with your experience in Dallas and in Houston, how long did it take you to get something like this organized?
It took a few years before we started to see real results.
I mean, just talking about what Jamie's suggesting.
I mean, it takes a few years to see results. I mean, you can get it organized in a few months. I don't think 60 days you could get something organized this in depth. But I'll reiterate what we've been saying the whole time. Ignoring this problem, it will not go away. It is only going to get worse and exacerbate itself. If you look at the percentage of people in our point in time count in Flathead Valley that are homeless, compared it to Seattle, LA, San Francisco, we have a higher percentage of homeless here than they do in these major cities.
Really?
Yes.
Per capita.
Per capita.
Per capita, yeah.
And that's big, and we have to address it.
Was this politically charged in your experience in Dallas and Houston?
No, we just saw a problem. I don't think it's politically charged at all.
How do things get to be politically charged like this? How do we keep it from being politically charged?
I think that you talk about the solutions. Like, stop complaining and start talking about what you're going to do about it. And by do about it, I mean not beat people up and yell at them and call them names and then go home to your friends and talk even more. I'm talking about there is infrastructure that exists right now in the world that is measurable. This is quantifiable. It's working. Dallas has reduced its homeless population by 26% in 2 years. And they have thousands of homeless people. We have a few hundred. So it's exciting. One of the things another benefit, so we may have more homeless per capita in our valley, or I don't know if it's our valley or if it's our state, but what the benefit is we have a much smaller government system to work within. We have a smaller community. We can look each other in the eye, and we have seen each other around at the grocery. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's a much smaller community, and so I think it's an opportunity to connect in a way that is swifter and maybe even more impactful than those other communities. And maybe it took Dallas 2 or 3 years, but maybe it won't take us that long.
Yes, and back on the political issue, this is hard, this is tough. No one wants veterans to be homeless. No one wants youth to be homeless. Whether this is a Republican or Democratic issue, and I don't think it is. Mm-hmm. I said to Jamie and others, this is an issue of public safety, because we need to keep these people who are on the street safe. They cannot die at night when it's -30 out, because they are going to die. They can't die of heat exhaustion when it's going to be 101 degrees, 102 degrees this weekend. It comes down to me when I look at it as a public safety issue and not a political issue.
Right. I agree with that. And I even would take the safety issue. We know humans use drugs. And if they're using drugs in a home that is theirs, and we don't have to look at it, smell it, and see it, or feel it, I don't have to walk my kids by the park. I don't have to take my dog out for a walk and have to see needles on the street, because now it's contained in a space that is their own. And there's something that's a privacy issue, but it also cleans our streets and keeps us feeling safe when we're walking around. And we all like to walk around in this town. So if you don't have to look at it and you don't have to see it, and you know that there's a place for people that is a level of dignity, and they are getting the help that they need. They're being offered those services in a way that holds them accountable to some degree. And people that commit crimes, if you commit crimes, go to jail. The interesting thing to keep in mind, though, is when it's 7 degrees outside and I'm desperate and I don't want to sleep again on the street, I will commit a crime on purpose so that I can have a warmer place to sleep that has a meal. Or I will get injured so that I can go to the hospital because, there's what can be worse than my life right now. So the desperation causes a safety issue in the first place.
So if we can kind of wrap a big ribbon around our conversation today, and I hope we can have more conversations, because this is what this show is all about, to try to air it out and get something going. So, Jamie, what do we need to do here in Kalispell to get this rolling?
Well,
I'm sorry, Jamie.
that's okay. In Kalispell, what do we need to get this started? Is really
Brent, I'm sorry, I meant for you to jump into that.
She said we need to get all the talking heads together. We need to get in the same room. We need to get some sort of workshop together, start sharing data, and then get a 1-year plan, a 2-year plan, and a 5-year plan, and then execute it.
Well, that's just what you would do for a business.
Exactly. Well, that's where our heads are at. I mean, we like people that know systems and management and people, right? That we're just going to apply those same things to this principle because homelessness is all about people. That's it. So I endeavor with Brent, with many people in our community, to create this workshop and to get it off the ground, a strategy with the right people. And then I would like to take note a year from now and see where we've come. But in the meantime, I implore our community to protect a vital service in the Warming Center. This is a place that people at the very bottom, the most vulnerable, need. Our community is compassionate. We all subscribe to the highest values of humanity when we really think about it at night when we sleep in our beds. The way we treat our family and our neighbors, these are our neighbors. I just want everybody to remember that. We don't need to be uncovering bodies in the spring. It doesn't have to be our life. And so please keep the Warming Center open. Please take the long view that the Warming Center is part of the solution. And I agree with Brent, maybe we won't need one anymore. And maybe it won't have to be in your backyard. And give us some time because we're vigorous. We're going to figure this out.
So the workshop you're putting together is when?
So I'm planning for September and October.
Okay. And if someone wants to participate, how's the best way to do that?
I am asking specific people that I'm targeting and I'm identifying as people that are decision makers in our community, whether they work with the nonprofit sector or in government, local government. Because at the end of the day, it does require a level of political will. And I think if these people, especially in government, can see a path forward that makes them look good and like they're doing something about it that's meaningful, and people are being helped and people are better off, that's a win-win all the way around. And I'm a big win-win proponent. I think our mental faculty granted by God is here so that we can figure out the win-win solution in everything. And there is always a win-win solution.
Well, I hope that after your first workshop or so, you'll be able to come back and talk with us about it and give us some kind of idea where we stand and how quickly we can move forward.
I would love to do that.
Jamie Goguen, Brent Rogers, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for another Warming Center Wednesday. Did you miss it or would you like to share it with friends? Find today's and past shows via flatheadwarmingcenter.org. It's Warming Center Wednesdays on KGEZ 96.5 FM and 600 AM.